Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Here's a headline from the Crypto Basic. XRP poised for impact. Ripple director says crypto industry set to expand 100x. Invest in infrastructure. And I'll tell you, just my personal opinion, XRP is absolutely going to be a part of that 100-fold expansion. And even if you're specifically looking at the market cap for the entire crypto asset class, it's minuscule. It's a rounding error. A little over 1 trillion at the time I'm recording this, 1.4 trillion roughly. And I remember saying when I started this channel almost 5 years ago, back when the market cap was whatever it was, less than 200 billion, I said at some point in the future it'll reach $1 trillion, and then it'll be a multi-trillion-dollar market cap for the asset class, which has happened. It happened last market cycle, and it's fallen back down. But I also said even back then, at some point we're going to have an asset class that's over $10 trillion. And I don't think it's unreasonable to suppose that at some point it could be over $100 trillion. We're at the beginning phases of this. And those cryptocurrencies that solve real-world problems will have staying power. And I think it's pretty clear that there's a lot of people, me and probably you listening to this, that have strong conviction that XRP is going to be a gigantic part of this. It's actually useful, so it's not just going to get discarded. What will happen is more people will discover what we have already discovered. We're just among the earliest of humans to figure this out. And then money follows the quality. XRP is quality. But I also want to share with you an update here. Yeah, actually, I'll just tell you the headline here. Clear runway opens for all Bitcoin ETF approvals in January, say analysts. And look, this I've said many times. I acknowledge this is something that could be a buy the rumor, sell the news thing, but that would just be initially, because the impact of approval for a spot Bitcoin ETF will materially impact the supply and demand dynamics for Bitcoin, which is positive for the entire asset class. And since XRP follows the rest of the asset class, a spot Bitcoin ETF arguably would be better for XRP than Bitcoin, because we'll get a greater multiplier effect when it runs. But before going further, I do want to be clear. I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. At the time I'm recording this, XRP is 61 cents, Bitcoin 37,884 bucks. Now, yesterday afternoon, Bitcoin actually did break above $38,000 briefly. Got up to, according to Litecoin Watch, $38,342. Pretty notable resistance there and dropped back down into the upper 37,000s. Then this morning, it broke above 38,000 again, got up to ultimately $38,413, and then dropped below yet again. Strong resistance, right? And it's still positive to see, but what's going to happen here? Is it going to go lower? Well, according to Credible Crypto, we should expect potentially a move to the downside. Nothing crazy. We're not talking like lower 30,000s. We're not talking upper 20-something thousands. But he in part wrote the following while sharing this Bitcoin USD chart. And I'll note this was in the early evening yesterday, 5:52 p.m. Central Time. That's my time zone anyway, 5:52 p.m. yesterday. Initial rejection here, but would not be surprised to see us push back up one more time to take those equal highs before the real flush down begins. And that ultimately did happen, as noted in this post. Equal highs is taken from this morning, 4:54 a.m. And he's warning, you could potentially see a flush down to as low as what? We'll just call it roughly what? 30, I think what he cited here actually, 36,600 as a first major downside target. So I just wanted to put this out there. So if that happens, it's not something that we should be freaking out about. He actually thinks that this would be a healthy move to the downside. And if you want all of the rationale, if you want the technical analysis, just go to his page on social media platform X. He has a video. I watched it. I think it's like 12 or 13 minutes. He posted it last night sharing his thoughts on this. Sometimes I'll give explanation from a TA perspective when certain analysts share that, but I try and keep that to a minimum because I just, like, there are channels that are designed for that. That's just not what I'm primarily interested in. I am interested, just like the rest of you, in the overall opinion of what these analysts think, but I just don't want to be regurgitating TA. It's just not what I do. I don't have a strong enough interest in the TA stuff. I'm more of like a guy that just wants to invest and hold and not do anything. Like, I mean, I've made my personal strategy pretty clear here, but I love, since I've skinned the game, I love following this stuff and I love covering the news and all that jazz. Then there's this from Cointelegraph. Clear runway opens for all Bitcoin ETF approvals in January. analysts. And look, unless you think that these products from these major firms like BlackRock, which is the largest asset manager on the planet with 10 trillion assets under management, unless you think that these products are going to fail, these Bitcoin ETF products, then it will have a material impact on the global price of Bitcoin and, well, the entire asset class as a result, especially over a long period of time. I do not believe that even if you get a big burst, I don't believe that that's a sign that all of the money just flowed in. That would be a sign of excitement, and then you may see a correction to the downside. But this would still be very positive. And there are analysts at Bloomberg that track this stuff for a living, and they actually do think that we're about to see this. So it will be fun. Like when we get the news, there will probably be a burst up to the upside to some degree before a correction. And we can, it'll be party time. And fine, when it comes back down, everybody's going to get sad again, but I'm not, because I understand that means the floodgates have opened, regardless of the initial exuberance. This is fantastic for us. Piece reads as follows: Bitcoin spot exchange traded funds in the United States now have a clear runway to potential simultaneous approvals after an advanced decision to delay the bids of Franklin Templeton and Hashdex ETFs, according to analysts. In a November 28th X post, formerly Twitter, Bloomberg ETF analyst James Seifert said the United States Securities and Exchange Commission delayed its decision on the applications 34 days earlier than the January 1st, 2024 decision deadline. The SEC requested comments on forms by Franklin Templeton and Hashdex that are necessary for the ETFs to eventually be listed and start trading. The comment and rebuttal period will last 35 days. Seifert and his colleague Eric Belkunas had placed 90% odds on spot Bitcoin ETF approvals by January 10th, 2024, and the twin delays, quote, all but confirm for me that this was likely a move to line up every applicant for the potential approval by the January 10th, 2024 deadline, end quote. And that was a quote from Seifert. So, my initial guess within the last few months is that BlackRock will get approved first, and then my second guess, if that didn't happen, is that a bunch would get approved altogether. But I will tell you, since then, reading additional developments, I'm less confident that it will only be BlackRock, because I've been observing perspective from a number of people in the know, including leaders at firms that have applied for these applications, and what we're hearing from them is that they're getting real conversations, real questions, real feedback from the SEC, and it's not just BlackRock. So there's that, and then there's this news today stating, hey, here's another piece of proof that says it looks like, not guaranteed, but looks like the SEC is trying to line up all these applications, and why would they do this if not to launch them all at once? So perhaps my first guess was wrong, and I'm less convinced of it at this point. It seems like it actually may be more probable based on new information that they may just approve a bunch all at once. So, and there's always possibility that nothing gets approved with this current round. We'll know by March of this year. I'd be surprised. I really would, just based on the behavior. Like, what are we supposed to think? So the SEC, they're not taking this seriously now, but they're materially behaving differently than at any point in history. Like, why wouldn't I take that as a sign that they're probably going to make a move here that is approval? Seriously, I got to ask you, because I know there are people, and it's fine. I respect people who have different opinions, of course. I don't care. But why would you believe it's not more probable? Why wouldn't you believe it is more probable that this would get approved, since there is material difference in SEC behavior compared to the past? They've never acted like this. And the genuine questions and what looks like lining up of all these applications, they've never done this before. Ever. So it looks to me like that's what's most probable at this point in time. And if it doesn't happen, well, they're just going to get like a crazy number of lawsuits against them from all sorts of firms, probably including BlackRock. So I don't think that's what's most probable. Anyway, piece continues. Balkunas agreed, posting to X that the SEC was, quote, looking to get them out of the way, clear runway, end quote. And then there was a post from Joe Carlasare, I'm not sure how to say that, but he's a commercial litigator, as indicated here, very well known in the world of crypto, and he simply wrote, the Franklin Bitcoin Spot ETF comment period now extends until January 3rd. The SEC typically reviews comments for at least 2 to 3 weeks. Therefore, although not guaranteed, this increases the probability of a March approval. January is still likely the favorite, though. So we'll see what happens. Everybody's thinking based on actual behavior, not just wild speculation. I mean, we are speculating, but this isn't just crazy wild speculation based on real world events that this is what's most probable. We'll find out together. Maybe nothing happens, but I think something's going to happen. That's my guess for fun. All right, and then there's this. XRP poised for impact. Ripple director says crypto industry set to expand 100x, invest in infrastructure. And I just want to cover part of this article because and the reason I wanted to cover this is just to highlight, and this is coming from somebody that's higher up at Ripple. It's just an indication that we are early. We are among the first to adopt crypto. Most people don't believe what we believe, but I also know that they haven't done even the tiniest bit of research. They just have their skepticism, and the skepticism's fine. Like, that's healthy. If you come into crypto and you're not being a skeptic by default, I question the way at which you approach the world. You should be a skeptic by default. So I don't mind that. It's more curious that some people, if they're aware of it and they're skeptics and they don't look into it, that's unfortunate because there's so much genuine opportunity here. And we have found it, obviously, with XRP. That's what we believe, broadly speaking, right? Or else we wouldn't be here. So there was Navin Gupta, and Ripple's managing director for the Middle East and South Asia. He was speaking at an event here. And I want to cover part of this article, like I said, which reads as follows. Meanwhile, the Ripple Middle East managing director shared that payments are taking a back seat at Ripple. He revealed the company is now expanding its focus on a myriad of emerging opportunities in the crypto space. According to him, Ripple, traditionally known as an enterprise crypto payment solutions company, is now positioning itself as a comprehensive one-stop shop for institutions delving into cryptocurrencies. Gupta explained that Ripple is actively developing solutions to cater to various needs of institutions, whether it be tokenization, payments, or custody. The aim is to become the go-to platform for institutions seeking to leverage crypto for diverse purposes. And there's a clip shared by my fellow XRP YouTuber, Crypto Eddie. Ultimately, Gupta concluded the panel discussion with a strategic piece of advice for investors. In his vision, the crypto industry would become 100 times bigger in the coming years. He drew an analogy to the gold rush era, highlighting the timeless importance of infrastructure. Gupta stated that those who provide essential tools and platforms, such as Ripple, will thrive. And he said, quote, "Don't worry about where digital assets are going. Invest in picks and shovels. You can't go wrong with that," end quote. Yeah, and what he said in the actual video clip, which I watched, he said that it'd be 50 to 100 times bigger, the entire industry. And still, like, what do you think this means for people who are investing in crypto early, with about 4% of humans having ever invested in any crypto? And or actually that figure was for Bitcoin, I should say that specifically, although it's probably about the same thing because almost everybody buys Bitcoin first. I'm a weirdo, I didn't buy Bitcoin first. But say about 4%, and then way less than 1% of humans have ever purchased XRP. That's the best approximation that I can come to based on all available data. And you can't know exactly for a number of reasons, which I've talked about in the past. But suffice it to say, I think we could all readily agree it's almost nobody that owns XRP, but we're right about this, right? There are millions of us that have come to the conclusion that it makes sense to hold XRP at some point in time over the past near decade at this point. There's a lot of people here now. So when this thing takes off, it's just, I'm telling you, there's so little money in it right now. And yeah, I know XRP is a large cap, but there's almost no money in most large cap coins. There's not much opportunity for Bitcoin at this point, unless you're really going to hold it a very long time, and then maybe, okay, sure, if it continues to be number one in market cap, which it may. But otherwise, it's kind of funny to think, because way in the future, a small cap crypto might be considered, what the market cap of XRP is today, because XRP is a market cap today of $32 billion roughly, and that's a large cap. But in the future, that might look like a tiny cap when the asset class is tens of trillions of dollars. Because you're going to have individual coins with multi-trillion-dollar market caps, and I don't see why XRP wouldn't be up there with it, unless something materially changes. XRP represents value, and money flows to where the value is. So that's what I'm saying. So when you hear a Ripple executive say, yeah, 100x, Yup, yeah, that doesn't sound bonkers in the least. And he said for the entire crypto industry, so we could be referencing other things. But either way, even if you're talking about companies operating in the space, all right, doesn't matter. We're super early. There's true opportunity for life-changing wealth. This is not some sort of pipe dream. It's just that most people, so many people just can't control their emotions. It's just that so many people are going to squander this. But the opportunity is there for the everyday person, like you and me. Like, we're just regular people. It is a real thing. So that's why I sit here and do nothing. I ignore the noise, or at least I don't let it get to me. Okay, so technically I pay attention to it, and that I take in the information just because I'm in the know. I want to be aware of what's going on, but I don't let it get to me in any sort of way. I just want to be aware. But no, it's best to just not have emotions when it comes to investing. Which is easier said than done. I get that, but that's the truth. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.